Good day, fellow champions of inclusion. I am Aaron, and this is the Inclusive Dad podcast, where we explore inclusion and make it practical. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me in exploring ways we can create a more inclusive world together. You are important, you matter, and you can make a difference. Today, my guest is Molly Kennedy. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Aaron. Nice to be here.
Yeah. Why don't you just start us off by just telling us a little bit about who you are?
Okay. I'm Molly. I grew up in LA, the San Fernando Valley. I was born with cerebral palsy. I grew up in a family of 7 siblings. We were Irish Catholic family. So we were pretty big. Um, I was in, I attended Catholic school uh, from kindergarten on through college. So I never had a IEP. Um, I graduated with a BA in liberal studies. Later on, I got my master's in public administration. I worked in the San Francisco Bay Area. I worked for the county of San Mateo, and one of my positions there was the director of a program that provided health care to homeless individuals. I now live in San Diego, and I'm the director of a nonprofit called Self-Start.
Awesome. Thank you so much. What is your definition of inclusion?
I think inclusion is being able to belong to a group or belong in your community and be a contributing member as in that community, and not only getting the help you need, but also having your own impact in your own way.
Yeah, I love that definition. You've always lived in California?
Yeah, I've always lived in California. I live in San Diego now. And about 10 years, I lost my ability to walk. So at the age of 50, I had to move into a senior care facility. It's not the best idea, but it's where I need to be because I feel safe here. I'm still very independent, but I just can't live by myself anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. When I was reading over your stuff, I saw you do a lot of stuff with person-centered planning. Do you want to talk a little bit about person-centered planning and what that is?
Yeah, p- person-centered planning is a very good addition to the uh, providing services to people with disabilities, especially those with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Um, it changes the old model of services where they just evaluate you on what you can't do. Person-centered plan is about what you can do. It's about who you are, what you want to do with your life, creating goals, uh, uh, not being a participant in your services, but being a leader in your services. So that's in a nutshell what person-centered planning is.
So how long have you known about or been using person-centered planning in your own life?
I've known about it for about 10 years. In California, I'm a client of the regional center, and they have self-determination, which I am a member of how I get my services. And when I entered that program, I had to create a person-centered plan for myself, and then my nonprofit started doing person-centered plans for clients of the regional center.
That's interesting. So before that, you hadn't. What? How were you coming up with like your plan and stuff?
Well, before uh, 2018, I was working and living on my own, and I didn't have any services that I required at that time. So I'm kind of new to the service system, and that's how I got to know what a person-centered plan was.
Okay, that makes sense. So once you started needing to use services, like how was that experience for you going from not needing them to needing them? Was it like shocking? What was your
At first it was more of a challenge because I went in a couple years before starting self-determination. It was still being developed at the state level, and the regular services really didn't fit my needs because it was about, teaching me how to do laundry. Well, I was doing laundry for over 40 years in my life, and I'm now in a mobility scooter, so I can do laundry, but now it's a challenge for me. So that was difficult in the old system, the traditional system. But when I got into self-determination, it was a lot more flexible and it met my needs a lot more. And I'm really happy with self-determination because it fits my needs. I don't fit a certain program.
yeah that yeah that makes sense to me. And so we live in Minnesota, and my daughter, her name is Cecilia. We call her Cece. She's 23. She has cerebral palsy and uses like an electric or a power chair, and she's on like we call them wavered services in
Right,
Minnesota, and then like a home and community based option. So it's probably similar to what you're talking about, which has probably more flexibility than like the standard stuff. So that definitely makes
right,
sense because not everybody is a cookie cutter and has the same needs. So that I can see how that can be frustrating if they're trying to help you in one way that you don't need. So that's good that you found something you can be more flexible with.
right. Yeah, California, they've had the regional center for over 50 years, and I have to say, it's one of the great things about California for people with IDD. It's a good system. Overall, I have issues with it, but overall, it's a good system.
Yeah. Yeah, it's for sure. Um, it's just interesting to me too, like before my daughter was born, I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. And then she's
Right.
born, and now all of a sudden there's this like parallel universe and these systems that most people have no idea about, and how much like paperwork and how many probing questions they ask you, how much they get into your personal life and all these things. It's just an interesting. I
Yeah,
mean, all
well,
the time you have to spend to like get something that should be pretty easy. But I mean, I understand it. How's your experience been with like how invasive or how much paperwork and stuff you got to fill out?
yeah, there's a lot, um, but, I get it, it's bureaucracy. They could get better at it. I just think overall, when you're a parent with a child with a disability, you're kinda on the road less traveled, and it can be a bumpy road, but, it's also a unique way to to to, make sure your child is has their needs met. And, you know, I think we learn from everyone in our people with disabilities are no different than that.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, it's definitely like changed a lot of my perspectives. Or I mean, I've met so many people such as yourself I may have
Right.
not met if my daughter was not born and had cerebral palsy. So it's yeah. Looking back, it's like I don't some stuff I would have changed, but like you mean? But then what would your life be? I wouldn't be where I'm at. So then you gotta
Right.
balance it. Like if that didn't happen, then maybe I wouldn't be here. So it's take the good with the bad sometimes.
People always ask me, like, if you could get rid of your cerebral palsy, would you? And I'm like, after 57 years, it's who I am. I wouldn't know what to do with myself, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So you said you went to a private school growing up, you said? Catholic school?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I went to a Catholic grade school. I then went to a Catholic all-girls college prep school. And then I went to a Catholic college in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I kinda had to teach them how to work with a person with a disability. But my parents were they saw I was capable to do that, and then I just had to show that I was capable, and I did.
yeah. And you said you were able to walk on your own until recently too?
Yeah, I
Okay,
walked on my own till just about 10 years ago. I lost my ability to walk. I have bad arthritis in my knees, and I couldn't do it anymore.
sure. So I mean, how is California for accessibility as far as, if you need to use scooters or wheelchairs and stuff?
It's pretty good, I'm lucky that I have a good transportation service. It's a private company that I can pay for. Um, Generally, transportation by the county or the city, um, it's not great for people with disabilities. It's cumbersome and it's not reliable at times. So I'm lucky that I can use this private company to go out.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. We have a accessible van that the counties or some funds have helped, pay for portions of it. So we've been fortunate. We live small, rural southern Minnesota, so we don't have I guess there is a public transportation, but we've never used it since we have the van we can use, so.
Right.
But in
So,
Minnesota, we have snow in the wintertime, which is not, power wheelchairs are not built for snow. They just,
no,
I don't know
no,
where I don't know where they test them, but they do not go through snow. I'll tell you that much.
yeah. And that's hard. That's just another layer of a barrier you have to deal with. So I think that's why I've stayed in California, 'cause we don't deal with snow or that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, for sure. And it's just, she lives with her mom. She comes over to my place a couple days a week. But in the winter, if it snows, it's like you got to get that snow off and get the sidewalk dried off, or otherwise, if there's anything at all, it'll spin. So it's just, and most people, they'll shovel their sidewalks, but like the corners where they plow, most people will not go back and clean that up all the way down. So it's like that you can't really go around at all. Besides,
right,
where some people are
right.
shoveling. So
Yeah. And
drastically
going,
limits where you can go.
and yeah, absolutely.
So you've probably heard on the news about Minnesota and all the stuff we've had going on here with fraud and different things. I've heard pieces about similar statements being talked about in California. Is there anything like pressure on disability services yet, or fear of like losing stuff in California?
I don't think yet there's been a issue around. Well, around here, like, uh, it's more around hospice services, but there's always struggles with the budget in California. But currently, we've had some really uh, growth with the economy in the last 4 or 5 years. The regional system is about $15 billion, so it's pretty good. But there's still a lot of people in California. My take on it is there's always going to be some fraud in everything we do. There's just bad people in the world that do things like that. Do I think the overall system is fraudulent? No. And I don't like the way it's being portrayed. Like everyone who's on the system is fraudulent. That's not true. You know, I'm I'm not faking my cerebral palsy. Believe me. So yeah, but it's a time period. I think we need to be very efficient with our funds, but we also have to realize as a society we need to take care of those who need our support.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I agree with you. There is there is fraud. Unfortunately, it's just I'm frustrated with some leadership in Minnesota that have allowed it to get to this point because there's fraud, so now it's being cracked down on like super hard, and it's like, okay, my daughter needs these
Right,
services to be able to live at home, with her family and in the community. So I'm frustrated that the leadership didn't like take it seriously enough to like try to get some of this
right,
out of there. And now, my daughter, she finally, the end of May, Minnesota, they had to recertify all the Medicaid providers. And if you weren't recertified, they kicked you out. And that was part of the stuff, pressure from Washington to, get rid of the fraud. So that was one of the steps to try to, not lose all the funding coming in. Well, their system wasn't built. They didn't have enough people to go through 5,000 or more, like providers. So what happened is it got to the end of May, and then like they got through a couple thousand. The rest of the 3,000, some of them had been in business like 50 years providing services, got kicked out. So now there's all these providers that are, they didn't sign this one form, so they got kicked out. So now they're not getting paid. And my daughter, she was going to get a evaluation for physical therapy for over the summer. Well, we had it lined up. We got a call the next day that it got canceled, and that was because they're not on the rolls anymore to get Medicaid payments until this is figured out. So that was the first thing that actually happened where something changed for my daughter. But I understand we need to make sure they're legit, but it's like, okay, this is not the way to do it. Kick 3,000 providers who've been
No,
providing services off, and all these people now, they can't get these services because you guys didn't have the time to get it done. So it's just,
right.
yeah,
Eh, And I feel like right now it's more of a political issue than a real assessment of what is working and what is not working. So I
yeah,
think
for
they
sure.
could go about it a whole different way.
Yeah, for sure. And then you read stories about like some rural places, like the transportation company who gets payments from Medicaid now can't transport people to like dialysis or, cancer treatment.
Right,
It's like, okay, well,
right.
that's going to have like real consequences for people. So, I mean,
Absolutely. And
so
then
yeah,
you have to be strong advocates for services, which it's not easy to do at times, but you have to do it too.
yeah, for sure. What do you like to do for fun?
Uh, I have a big family. I have nieces and nephews, and they all have kids. So I like to hang out with them. I like to go out shopping and to the beach, what you do in Southern California. I was with a nieces last night, and we were hanging out. Yeah, I really enjoy my family and hanging out with them.
That's great. I saw that you also have a podcast. Do you want to talk a little bit about your podcast and what you do on your podcast?
Yeah, so I started a podcast about 2 years ago. It's called Be Determined. And it's just, I talk about issues relevant to my life. Right now, I'm exploring starting a network of, of around leadership for women with disabilities. I think women who have disabilities, uh, just from their own life experience, are good leaders, but they don't know that they're good leaders. So bringing them together and talking about how you, first of all, lead your own life, but how that can also go beyond and be a leader in your community.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Who are like your heroes or people you looked up to with women with disabilities?
Um, one, her name, she passed away a couple of years ago. Her name was Judy Human, and I knew her, not good friends, but I knew her. But if you look at her story, it's an amazing story about her advocacy. She was one of the individuals that helped start the independent living movement. And so I really look up to her.
Yeah, I'm familiar with her, so I was wondering if she's gonna be who you mentioned.
Yeah.
Is there any like is there who are other current women with disabilities that you maybe look up to? I'm trying to think of some.
Offhand, I know that the older women, Temple, I forget her last name, but
Grandin? Temple
Temple,
Grandin?
yeah, and I
Yep.
think she's done a lot around autism and having people look at autism in a different way. So yeah, you know, um, that's why I'm starting this network, 'cause I wanna know more women with disabilities that are leaders, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Did was Judy Hyman from California?
Yeah,
Okay,
no, she started out in New York, but
cool.
she came to California for a while. She lived in Berkeley, and that's where the other leader of the independent movement, Ed Roberts, he started the first independent living center, and she was part of that. Um, uh, she was involved with the Obama administration. She worked there. I knew one of her staff that she worked with. I knew her, and we would have dinner sometimes. Judy was a great leader and a great role model, you know?
Yeah, that's great. What is one tip you can share to help our listeners be more inclusive today? So just something anybody can start doing today to be more inclusive.
Think you gotta put yourself out there and go into spaces where you might not think you belong, and have the confidence in yourself as your own leader to say, I belong here. And it doesn't matter what kind of reaction I get from other people. I belong here and I'm gonna be part of whatever group or uh, a board, a committee. I mean, that's how we start. See, I think the best way I'm an advocate is showing people how I live my life. And I go where I want to go and do what I want to do. And, is it easy all the time? No. But overall, you just could have lived like other people. Just go where you need to go and belong where you want to belong.
Yeah, I love that. If there's one thing you hope listeners take away from your story, what would it be?
Yeah, I think um people with disabilities are leaders, and first they need to know that they're leaders of their own life and they have a right to a good quality life, and they can be a leader of that. And then if they choose, they can lead other people or be a mentor for other people.
Yeah, I love that. Where's the best place for everybody to connect with you?
My website, mollytkennedy.com.
Awesome. I did take a look at that, and that's a really nice website. I like it.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to share before we wrap it up?
I think that's good. Thank you for allowing me to share my life with you.
Absolutely. You ready for the last question?
Yes.
Do you like Spam lunch meat? Yes or no?
No. And because I learned about spam, because I went to college with a lot of people from Hawaii.
Yep.
They ate a lot of spam, so I did not like it. Sorry.
Yeah, I live in southern Minnesota near where they make Spam and where the Spam Museum is located. So I've been asking everybody just to see their reaction. It's kind of fun to see how everybody reacts to it. That is a big thing, though. Hawaii is you're not the first person to bring up the Hawaii connection, so it's pretty well known.
Yeah, and I've been to Hawaii, and like diners and coffee shops, they always have spam on the menu. I think when I tried it, I thought it was too salty. Wasn't a favorite for me.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. Yeah, I mean, I only have it a couple times a year. It's kind of funny because my girlfriend went to Hawaii a few years ago and she sent me a picture of a pallet of Spam at the Walmart, and I'm like, we live in the town they make it, and we don't even have pallets of Spam in our Walmart.
Yeah.
It's like so much. It's interesting how it's so much more popular there.
Right.
Well, awesome. Thanks for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
To those listening, thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey. It is truly an honor. Please join the podcast newsletter by clicking on the link in the episode description to keep up with the latest episodes. Together, we can make the world more inclusive. Until next time, stay empowered and be a champion for inclusion.